Hey everybody, Tom here, and today I want to teach you how I store Whistle Mountain and also how to set up a game. And so, get excited. Here we go. So let's go ahead and take off the lid. Usually in these videos I like to just say a quick word about the rule book, and I don't know exactly what to say about this rule book. I found this rule book had, here's the thing, it had some really strong strengths, but it also had some pretty bad weaknesses. So it's like so-so for me. Basically, it's a rule book with a ton of pictures and a lot of examples, which I really appreciated because I felt like their actual explanations were very confusing. I relied on the examples in almost every instance of reading through the rules. So the information was there, but it was like kind of formatted in kind of an interesting way, a little bit harder for me to find, but that really might just be me. Anyway, but you can see here there's lots of pictures, lots of examples, which is good because I think they need it. The other thing that's a big strength, something I loved about this rulebook, is they literally have an explanation for every single tile and card in the game. So if you ever have a question, they've got it here. It's a lot of pages, all of references to that stuff. So just a quick word about the rulebook. All right, now in this game, it has a big board, but that board is not one that opens by folding. It's actually kind of a puzzle piece. So you can basically tell which way is up by kind of looking at the visual hints like the trees, and then take a look at the border. It will show you which corner of the four pieces where that goes. So example, this one is going to go here on the bottom left. Trees are upright, so you can see this one's going to go on the bottom right, and it just pieces together. Like, I probably made that sound more complicated than it is. Just follow the picture. It's a 4-piece puzzle you could have your toddler put together, I guess. All right, so this is what the board looks like. Now, this game has so many pieces, and there was zero storage for this game at all, which was very frustrating for me as somebody who can't even play a game until I've stored it properly. So I actually ended up building an entire storage solution that you're about to see. And what I want to say is go ahead and check out my website, tomteachesgames.com. It will have a place where you can actually see picture. You don't need to see pictures because you're watching the video, but you can actually find links on where to download this storage solution. And right there with the links, it will also have videos on how to build everything. I did my best to build the storage solution thoughtfully. It's actually one that we're going to be using to play the game. I'm going to be putting boxes on the board and stuff like that. So we're going to dive in. Take a look here. We have player boards, one of each player color. So these player colors are blue, red, yellow, and black. No green here or orange or purple or anything like that. So those colors. I always play with blue and red. So we'll go ahead and take out those boards. And I won't need the other two. Now, the only thing that I didn't create a storage thing for were for the 5 wooden resources. We have water, coal, iron, gold, and whistles, because it's Whistle Mountain. And I just used this 5-compartment Plano box that you can find at Walmart. They've been selling these boxes for years. They're like less than $2, so I always have some on hand, and that's what I use to store these resources. I'm going to go ahead and just keep those on this side of the board like that. And here we go. The gigantic storage solution, all of these things. So we'll take it one step at a time, I guess. Starting here, I have player boxes, so one for each player color, storing the pieces we're going to need for each player. So I'm going to just go ahead and take these here, and just so that we can feel like we're making progress, I'll take these out. Next, we have some water bars. So I'm going to just take this box out, and we'll place it here until we're ready to place those in a little bit. Now we have, what else have we got? We've got victory points. Let's go to those. So these victory point boxes, the way you collect points is by taking these tokens, and in this game you score a ton of points, and so you can get these pretty big tokens. And so we're just going to go ahead and open up these boxes. One thing to know about these boxes as you're watching is I made them to be pretty tight so they don't come apart while they're in the box. And so you just got to be aware of that. So we're going to go ahead and take out those 50. In theory, you should just be able to hold onto the corners and shake it open and give it a nice tug. So we'll just go ahead and take out these victory point tokens here. And I'll just keep them on the side, I guess, with the with the resources. We don't need to focus on them too much. We'll get those during gameplay. So get your victory points somewhere. All right. What should we do next? Let's spend forever on a video deciding what to do next. Okay, let's look at these what are those words? Polyomino pieces. So there's 3 different shapes that we're going to need. And so I've got 3 boxes. Now, I've set up these boxes so you can use them while you're playing if you'd like, or you should pretty easily be able to remove these tile pieces and just place them on the board. I think for the recording of this video, I'm going to go ahead and keep them in the box because I like that the box keeps them from falling over. I often bump things while I'm recording, and so you can kind of see this box will just go right here on top of that shape. You should probably shuffle the pieces. I always shuffle these before, like as I'm packing up. So in my last game, the practice game in preparation for this video, I shuffled those up. And so I can just take these boxes and place them here. They're ready to go. And they are different. Like you can see these little icons, even though they're the same shape, those icons will change placement and type. So you do want to have them shuffled. All right, so we've got these here, just removing the lids. Next, let's come up here to the upgrades. They kind of look like these gears. So I've got this upgrades box. We'll go ahead and just shake those out. These are circular gear-like things, but what I wanted to point out is I designed this box to have these holes on the sides so that you could just easily grab them from, the sides. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these and put them right here on the spot. You can see there's like, I don't know what to call that, like a steel pattern right there. So that's where the stack goes. It matches this pattern you see on the back. Okay, and then we're going to draw 3 and place them face up in these other spaces here. And put that there. Okay, let's see, we'll just come around the board like that. Next up is going to be a bunch of cards. So the way that I designed this card box is it's just a slip case like this. And as I mentioned, I always shuffle things as I put them into the box, but we'll just go ahead and give these cards a quick shuffle. And one thing that I've done, it just depends on who's playing and where they're sitting across the table. Again, just to avoid the cards sliding everywhere, maybe you want to keep like the top of the box like this as you're playing. And that way it just kind of holds them together, but maybe that's just not necessary. I don't know. We'll go ahead and remove that maybe. Next up, let's go ahead over to the small machine. So we can see a small square here. And so the small machines box, we're going to go ahead and take those out, and same idea as the upgrades. I've just got these here. They're already pre-shuffled, and I'm going to sit that there. And we need to draw the top 3 and put them on these outlined spaces like that. And here and here. Okay. Next up, let's do the medium machines in these rectangular places. Here, I'll take this box out of the way. And same idea. There's our box. They're pre-shuffled. And we'll set these out. Now, if this is your first game, they do have a recommendation where there's a whole bunch of like tiles. Let me see if there's any examples out right now. I don't see any, but essentially some of the items have these star, that was helpful. They have these star icons, almost like a little bit like these ones up here. But essentially, in the rulebook it says if this is your first game, you may want to take those out because they may be overwhelming. I'm just going to play with everything included. Okay, large machine. It's going to go down here, so we'll go ahead, take that off. Same exact idea. These are shuffled, so we will just draw 3 and set them out here. Okay, now we still have rewards and starting abilities. I guess while we're here, let's just take care of the starting abilities. These are basically abilities that each player is going to get to start. Duh. So the idea is that if you were actually playing a game, what you would do is have a starting player already decided. I'll have that be the blue player. And you would draw starting abilities equal to the number of players plus 1. And then the last player would pick a starting ability, pass the other 2 counterclockwise around the table until the first player just has 2 to choose from. And that's great, and I like that. But what I'm going to do for this video is just randomly pick one. So we'll give this one to the blue player, okay? And then we will go ahead and give this one to the red player, and we will look closer at those later. We won't need any other starting abilities, so I'll go ahead and pack these up and put them in the box. Let's see, next up, let's do the water bars. All right, so the way that this box works is we go ahead and take this off, and it's gonna have a whole bunch of bars. I think there's 8 or 9 here of water markings, but this box also holds these brown plastic pieces. And so the way these plastic pieces look, I'm trying to give you a view, is you could see they're kind of thicker on one part. Essentially, these go onto the board in these holes right here. And you want the tallest bar at the bottom of the board because that's going to hold all of these. So you just take all 8 of these and you put them here. Now, just a tip, when I played this game, I actually sat at the bottom of the board, and this stack was tall enough, and as I was sitting, that I couldn't actually see any of this first row and only a little bit of this next row. So something that I did is I just kind of took all but one, and I just put these off to the side. So if that's a problem while you're sitting at the board, maybe consider doing that. But where we're shooting from overhead, that's not going to be a problem, so I'll just keep these all stacked right there. Okay, next up, let's go ahead and take out the awards, and then also there's this duplicator icon. So I'm going to go ahead and shake these off. Oh, remember that star thing I was talking about? It's this right here. So if you wanted to, you could remove anything with this icon, just if you're worried that that's going to be too tough. All right, so in these award things, I have this duplicator token. This just might come up during gameplay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this off to the side for now. And what you want to do is you want to find these tokens, and there are 4 tokens that look like this. Now in my box, I just keep these 4 tokens face up, and I keep everything else shuffled face down. So you want to take the 4 that look like this, and these 4, oops, you can just splay them out face up, just like that. Okay, so all 4 go on that very first row over here on this ladder. I think, no, they don't call that a scaffold. I think they call that a ladder. I don't do great with terminology. And then we have all of these face down pre-shuffled awards, and what we're going to do is we're going to take them and we're just going to turn them face up randomly and lay them on one on each of these rungs here, like this, going all the way down the ladder. And then I like to just keep the rest of them in a pile. I just put them there at the bottom because in the game you might end up drawing some blindly. All right, so that's that. And cool, I think we have the general board stuff. Now what we've got to do is some of the player setup. Now, normally I would put a blue paper under this board just to really signify this is the blue player, but this is clearly doing a good job, and I really like the way that this white tablecloth is accentuating the shape of this board, so we'll keep it like that. Here's our starting ability that we just barely drew, so I'm going to go ahead and keep that right here. Okay, that's what that cutout's for. And then in this box, we have all of our other pieces that we're going to need. Specifically, oh, what do they call this thing? They call this the dreadnought. The dreadlock. No, the dreadnought. Okay, and that can just go right here. Normally, I would set this like this, but well, maybe we'll keep it like that because I want you to see how cool and how chunky these pieces are. This is our blimp. I can't remember if it has a fancy name, and a hot air balloon. So if you were playing the game, these could just dock right into place, but because they look cool, I'm going to lay them down like this. Then you're going to have a whole bunch of worker-looking meeples. Those are going to go to the board. And what you want to do is you want to put 2 of these in this whirlpool down here. And then you're going to take the others, and again, normally you would stack them like this so other players can do it, but since we're doing overhead recording, we're just going to go ahead and lay these down, and I won't spend an hour making them pretty, I promise. And, oh my gosh, let's just bump everything in the world. We'll go like that. And that's it for player setup. So let's set up the red player. Our red player is the technician, so we'll go ahead and put this over here. And I should have said this. Okay, so take a look at our player board. This side is the one that we want face up during the game because it's going to tell us step by step what we're doing. It'll have storage for our resources. The other side has end of game scoring. So as you're teaching the game, maybe you want to refer to this side, but you don't want that side face up during gameplay. You want this side face up. So we'll go ahead and put that there. Crack open our box. We won't talk about what these are for an hour. Put these here. And 2 in the whirlpool. And we'll go ahead and set these out over here. I think these are called the barracks. They don't really look barracksy. Oh, I guess they kind of do. It's like a cabin here, and it doesn't matter. And there's that. Now the last thing we need to do is give starting resources. So every player is going to start with 1 water, 1 iron, 1 gold, and 1 coal. So we'll set those up here. But the other thing that I wanted to say is that once we get these set up, I can't do 2 things at once, is that the second player will also start with an additional water. If there was a third player, they would also start with, they wouldn't start with the extra water, they would have these 4 and a whistle. And if there were 4 players, then the 4th player would start with an additional water and an additional whistle. So they would have the 4 and a water and a whistle. And that is it. We are officially set up and ready to play. As I mentioned before, if you're interested in downloading and printing and making any of these storage solutions for yourself, go visit my website. It's all free. It's hosted on Board Game Geek. My website just has a place where you can see pictures and videos on how to make everything all in one spot. And then if you're interested in seeing how to play this game, there's a link in the description of this video. I'm going to teach the game and do a full 2-player playthrough. All right, thank you guys for watching. I hope that was helpful and or semi-enjoyable. I will see you in the gameplay video. Bye!